Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of March 9th, 2014. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Well, thank you so much for watching. As always, there are now timestamps in the description to this video. So if you're watching on YouTube and you want to just watch the intro and then jump ahead to your sign, or you want to jump ahead now, please feel free to do so by clicking on the time right next to your sign. Although I do advise to listen to the intro because it is the intro that talks about the general trends that are going to be speaking to all of us and are indicating our lessons collectively and, of course, individually as well. And this week we are building towards a full moon taking place actually in the early part of next week. So over the course of the beginning of next week, we do have a full moon. Overall, a friendly full moon. Overall, a pretty positive, stable full moon. And this week seems to lead us towards lessons that I'll be talking more fully about then, but leads us in that direction of welcoming understandings and welcoming insights that ultimately are meant to encourage a sense of stability as we move towards an honest assessment of what is. And by doing so, by honoring what we have already manifested, we're better able to look at ourselves and what's happening with us emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and therefore make the adjustments needed so that we can manifest different if that's something that we want to do. And so in the middle of the week, Mercury and the Sun are going to be speaking with Saturn. Now, Mercury is going to be having a type of conversation with Saturn that astrologers call a square. And it is a conversation of tension. And this conversation does suggest that we're going to be asked some really tough questions, or we're going to be asking ourselves some tough questions. We're going to be looking at where it is that we actually are right now in the most practical sense. And we're going to be thinking about whether or not our plans are realistic, how we've gotten here, and what we can do to actually plan for a better future. Now, those people who are actively already engaging in this process are just going to welcome this energy and build on it. If you are the kind of person who doesn't really like to make plans so much, or doesn't really like to look at certain things in a very sort of cold, hard, steely kind of way, then this could be a bit of a wake-up call. You may end up projecting this energy. It may be actually somebody else who comes to you asking questions, but it certainly doesn't have to be that way. Really, ultimately, Saturn is thought to be one of the most spiritual planets. I mean, all planets are spiritual. But Saturn really is about, there's this saying, faith without works is dead. That's really what Saturn is about. That's what Saturn comes down to. Faith without works is dead. So have your faith, have your beliefs, have your inspirations, have your dreams. But if you're not actually walking your talk, if you're not actually doing something in the physical realm to work with that which you believe, then it really is just a dream. It's not actually something that you're living and breathing and manifesting and honoring the fact that we're in this physical realm. And that's the real insight that hits home just a little bit later when the Sun speaks in supreme harmony, what astrologers call a trine, in supreme harmony with Saturn as well. And so this does suggest that we find our power no matter what tough questions come up, no matter how it is, whatever assessment we make, very quickly we understand what actions we can take to empower ourselves and what actions are going to help us to actually increase a sense of self-respect. Because ultimately that is what Saturn is about. Saturn is about accepting what you can, changing what you can, and having a sense of self-respect by actually honoring the physical plane. Later on in the week, what we also have is Mercury speaking in harmony with Mars. Now, I'm very excited about this. And the reason that I feel so excited about this is because this does suggest, because every sort of, if you will, just like in your life, every day builds upon the next, every lesson builds upon the next. It's the same thing with the celestial conversations, because they're just a mirror to what's happening within us. And so with Mercury first having this conversation with Saturn, and then moving on, its immediate next exact conversation is with planet of action and a supremely harmonious, what we call a trine, supremely harmonious conversation at that, it does suggest that we really understand how to get our minds working in harmony with our will. We understand what actions that is we can take. We understand how to tap into the power of words, directing our mind in order to really feel a sense of the blessing that it is to actually be able to look at what it is that you're thinking, consider, does it support where it is you want to go or not? And where it doesn't, you actually do have that power to change course. How all this speaks to you in your sign is coming up right now. Hello, fabulous Aries. This week does promise a real light bulb moment and very much on a level of mind. With Mercury moving through the sign of Aquarius, which is the sign of the light bulb moment, speaking with your ruling planet in such supreme harmony, and your ruling planet moving for an extended period of time in your opposite sign, it does suggest that it is another person who facilitates an awareness and awakening for you. Some of you, if you are in a romantic alliance, will find yourself feeling just like this person really gets me. This person really, I can really talk to this person, and feeling very empowered by that connection. And those of you who are not are going to find yourself having conversations about love and possibly even connecting with somebody who really holds some potential to be around for a long time. It should be a lot of fun for you. Hello, fabulous Taurus. This week, there is some suggestion that with Saturn continuing to move through your opposite sign and Saturn getting so much energy right now, and at the same time with Mercury getting a lot of energy as well, or reaching out, if you will, moving through a part of the sky that for you has to do with looking at your career, looking at how high you want to go, looking at your ultimate aims and your goals. It does look like you are being asked some tough questions, possibly facilitated by a partner. Now, this very likely is a business partnership, so maybe a potential business partnership, or it may be actually a romantic partner, but these are questions that are very needed right now as you refine your course and figure out just what it is that you've been trying to achieve these last couple of months. You add to this the fact that with the sun getting such a boost, with Saturn getting such a boost from the sun, it does suggest to me that you are going to experience a boost in your own life thanks to a partner as well. And so be open to partnerships of all kinds, be open to relating. The universe has been having you in the midst of this long-term lesson where it really is about getting along with other people, building and strengthening those partnerships. And I do think that you're going to find a partner really believes in you, and you're about to get some really good news about just how much they believe in you. And it comes across as a vote of confidence, and it seems like it's something that just warms your heart to hear it. Hello, fabulous Gemini. Well, it is your ruling planet, Mercury, that is speaking with Mars later in the week, but first Saturn, as I spoke of in the introduction. And it does suggest to me that while you are looking at some hard truth, you are also building towards a moment of really feeling very empowered, perhaps more than you have in a while. Specifically, I'm thinking of the fact that Mercury is now headed towards the sign of Pisces, slowly but surely. So Mercury has been moving back and forth in the sign of Pisces and Aquarius over these last few weeks. Mercury now in a harmonious sign to you in the sign of Aquarius. It does suggest to me as I look at this that really, no matter how tough the questions are, you very quickly understand how to make the best of it. And it looks very likely that this is part of an ongoing conversation. And so if you've been having any sort of ongoing conversations, any sort of uncertainties even from time to time, if you will, especially in the workplace, right now, this week, you should expect yourself to sort of get an insight on that and feel like things are sort of coming out, if you will. And so that everything isn't sort of just under the surface, but actually you're getting the clarity you need. You're getting the lesson, if you will, as to what the point is of all of this. Why is all this happening? Why are you feeling so much, whether it's drama in the workplace or whether it's you just not being very satisfied with the work? You get the insight you need. And very quickly you implement changes that actually end up empowering you, not only in the workplace, but just in all around sense. And it looks like there is a part of you, this this part of you that needs to be honored, that has to do with your curiosity. And I'm seeing you honor that. I'm seeing you become aware that, oh my God, I'm not paying attention to this part of me and I miss it. And you do pay attention to it. And because of that, first you need to have sort of that moment of looking at where you are and understanding where you've been building towards, what dissatisfaction has been there, in order for you to get to the point where you can say to yourself, okay, this is what needs to change and this is what I need to do to actually feel a greater sense of contentment. Once you get to that place, you are certainly on the right track. Hello, fabulous Cancer. This week there is the possibility, the potential, the promise, if you will, of really having some very important financial talks that ultimately lead in a really good place. It looks like you're being asked some tough questions where it comes to your finances. And while for some of you, that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, and really money is such an emotional issue. And because you as a Cancer, one of your life lessons is to understand that everything, in a certain respect, everything or anything can be an emotional issue. It might take you a little bit aback to have to look at your finances in a way that's a little bit removed, to look at what it is that you really want to do, what you wish you could feel more confident on, you could take a bet on. And at the same time, understanding that if you're really going to take a chance, this chance that you want to take, you are going to have to actually ask for the support that you need, whether it's emotional or financial or otherwise. But what I'm seeing more than anything is a lot of paperwork that might need to be done. But things are going to start coming together, and it looks like, at least financially, there is some good news by the time we get you to the end of the week. And really, I think a part of you is going to feel like this is a long time coming. And actually, this has been almost like an ongoing thing happening for the last few weeks where it comes to your finances. Well, you're about to feel a sense of resolution, and you're about to get some very good news in that area. Hello, fabulous Leo. Well, your ruling planet is reaching out to the planet of stability, Mars, in supreme harmony, as I spoke of in the intro. And it does suggest to me that it's you that starts to feel a greater sense of stability. It's you that starts to understand what needs to happen, what understanding needs to take place within yourself so that you can feel strong within, strong about what you have, and strong about where it is that you are going. There is something very encouraging about what's taking place in the sky now for you. And it has to do with you slowly but surely building towards a financial breakthrough that's going to happen for you next week. And I spoke about it in the monthly horoscopes. I'll talk about it again next week. But what I like about what's taking place this week for you is that you understand that there are people who are on your side. There are people who believe in you. There are people who want to see you experience greater prosperity. And what I also really love about this week for you is that there is this sense that you're moving in the right direction. It's something you feel. There's a calmness within what is taking place now. There's an understanding that you're moving in a direction that's going to help you feel good about yourself, help you feel a sense of self-respect, and just help you feel like you're building something that actually matters, something you can be proud of. And that's what I think is really going to be the standout moment for you, where I think you're going to have this appreciation that you actually have been working a lot and you actually have garnered a measure of respect already. And just an appreciation that, you know, you actually do have a lot. You have this wonderful sort of, not just a legacy, but you've been actually building something that's really good. You've been investing your time, your energy, your love in something that actually now you can sort of stand back, have a moment and say, you know what, I'm really proud that I decided to give my energy in this direction. For some of you, it's going to be a marriage. For some of you, it might be your kids. But for others, it might be a project very close to your heart. It might be work as well. All those things that you consider most close to your heart, all those things you identify with most, are about to get a wonderful shine of solid appreciation that you've been on the right track for a while now. Hello, fabulous Virgo. Well, it is your ruling planet that is speaking with Saturn. And this to me suggests that, especially with Saturn in such a harmonious position to you right now, it does suggest that there is a conversation set to be had. And it may be a little bit uncomfortable, but ultimately you understand that this needs to happen, almost like the air needs to be cleansed if you're going to go forward with a greater sense of power and a greater sense of purpose as well. I do think that the likelihood of you needing to have, in some cases, some very spontaneous conversations, but I think a part of you is going to feel like this is a long time coming. This is a long time overdue. And it's almost as if there is a measure of healing that comes from this. And what I am seeing is you having these conversations with people where maybe there's been some tension building for a while. And as I said, it's a long time coming, but once you do, it's going to help you clear some energy and clear some space, because you are headed towards a full moon in your sign. And I talked about it in the monthly horoscope. I'll talk about it again next week. But for you in particular, you have to remember that you are building towards a cathartic moment. You're building towards a moment where you recognize what doesn't matter and you let it go. You find a release. And ultimately, this is a full moon that is very stable and also speaking in harmony with Saturn as well. And all of this does suggest to me that whatever events start transpiring, regardless of how you feel, it's like in the process you can see how even though it feels a little tense, even though you wish you didn't have to speak about this or talk about this, this is actually really good, that this is actually going to help the big picture of your life. This actually is going to help you feel better and you feel more empowered. And from that place, you start preparing for these wonderful breakthroughs that are coming up for you just a little bit further once we get you into next week. And you start preparing for really letting go of some baggage that you just don't need anymore, that just isn't part of where it is you're going. And you really are going in some wonderful directions, as will become more and more clear as you progress through the week. Hello, fabulous Libra. Well, with Mercury speaking in harmony with Mars moving through your sign, this is actually part of an ongoing conversation that's been taking place over the last few weeks. It does suggest that there's a further development on your understanding on a level of mind as to what you need, on the one hand, to feel really fulfilled, but on another hand, the action that you need to take to move your life forward, to progress your life forward. And it looks like the news that does come in is one that absolutely uplifts you. And more than anything, what I'm seeing is that this is an offer to actually enjoy yourself, to have more fun, and to make that distinction as to what it is that you are doing, where it is that your passions actually lie now, and where it is that you've actually been undergoing changes. And what used to fire you up, what used to really get your juices going, just doesn't anymore. You want different things. You're entering a different phase, if you will. And you are coming to a place more and more over the coming weeks of being more honest with yourself about what you really need to be in the world so that you can feel good about yourself, you can feel a sense of self-respect and self-empowerment. Well, this week helps you tremendously along that process as you gain mental clarity that you need to help you decide on your best steps forward. Hello, fabulous Scorpio. This week I see this bigger question coming up as to where your home is and what you need to do to feel more at home. And this is part of an ongoing conversation that has been taking place over the last few weeks. But I think now you're set to have a talk, and for some of you, a very long needed talk or negotiation or interaction that allows you to really get clear about how you feel about where you are in terms of your living space, in terms of your home, in terms of feeling safe in your home, but also in your own body as well. And I think that you're about to feel a sense of greater understanding as to why it is you are exactly where you are and what it is that you need to do to feel more at home. Now, for some of you, this may take on a very practical bent where you're actually working with somebody, negotiating, very likely, whether it's a sale of a home, whether it's actually buying a home, whatever the case may be, there is a part of you that is involved in some negotiations and having to look at how do you really feel about this change? Are you really comfortable with it? And what factors are there where you wish weren't there that would allow you to actually feel a greater sense of being at home. So there's a level of acceptance there, but at the same time, I think you can see how making changes actually can end up being really good for you and be really empowering as well, can actually be something that you can look forward to. And then for some of you, this is going to take on a more sort of metaphorical understanding where it actually has to do with how you feel at home in the world, or where you don't feel at home in the world, and what needs to happen, what needs to change so that you do feel a greater sense of comfort and a greater sense of safety. Regardless of how this lesson manifests for you, understand that ultimately the questions are leading somewhere good and the negotiations are strengthening you. You are taking an honest assessment of where you are, and that in turn is going to empower you to go forward with not only greater clarity, but a greater sense that there are greater forces on your side and that want you to feel that the whole world really is a stable and safe place for you to be. Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. This week, there is the promise of continued talks, continued conversations taking place that, while sometimes might feel amazing, sometimes don't. And you might not be able to actually put your finger on it. And especially when I look at early in the week, it does look like there is some sort of interaction, which on the surface should make you feel better. Should make you feel like, okay, great, things are clearer, I understand where we're going, and make you feel that you get it, okay? Make you feel like whether you've been heard or whether you've heard them. And it seems to come under the guise of wanting to make peace, but leaves you feeling a little bit uncomfortable and you can't quite put your finger on it. Well, I got to tell you, I don't think you're going to put your finger on it. It just looks like there is this feeling of, well, why did that need to be said? Why did that need to come up? Okay, fine, whatever. But then the lens turns on you. And that's what I find really encouraging about what's to take place this week, because it is you that starts to understand that, okay, maybe it's not so much about the other person and what they need to say. Maybe it's not so much about how other people are reacting or you're feeling in the moment. Maybe there's something else going on that you need to understand about yourself. Why did you react? Why are you feeling the way that you are? From that place, I'm seeing you actually make some really valuable choices. And I'm seeing these conversations likely take place with a friend, with someone you trust. But from there, you're actually going to use that as a springboard to allow yourself to understand what action you need to take, what direction you need to go in. And I'm seeing this as a result of all this interacting. You actually end up moving closer to a friend and feeling a greater sense of support and love from them. So be open to that process, because it does look like you are on a path of understanding who you are more and understanding what actions you need to take next to feel a greater sense of lightness as you move through the world. So as the information comes in, be open to it, because very quickly it's going to help you. It's going to serve as a catalyst to help you understand what you need to really feel a greater sense of not just purpose, but just a greater sense of feeling like you have the support you need to really fly as high as it is that you desire to go. Hello, fabulous Capricorn. Well, your ruling planet is getting a boost from Mercury and from the Sun especially, and a very positive boost from the Sun, as I spoke about in the introduction. And when this happens, it does suggest a time when you feel like you are lifted. You feel like you get a boost. You feel like the best of you is coming forward, that you're in your element, that you really feel like you're tapping into something that matters to you, that allows you to shine really brightly. I'm seeing this as an overall really positive and really empowering week for you, especially where it comes to your career and your work, and also where it comes to your finances as well. Even with some tough questions, a little bit of uncertainty that happens earlier on in the week, very quickly gives way to you understanding what action you need to take, what you need to say to be as persuasive as you possibly can. And from there, I'm seeing you just really come to understand what you need to feel a sense of strength within yourself. That's certainly the direction you're headed in. This week does promise you a greater sense of awareness of what needs to happen within you and what needs to change within you so that you can feel like your life is moving forward. And it certainly is. But what I like best about this week is that there is an absolute recognition that you understand what you are good at and you're able to share it easily and you're able to be appreciated for it as well. Hello, fabulous Aquarius. Well, Mercury continues to move through your sign, and I would say enjoy this. There is clarity coming as to what really matters to you, what's important to you, what direction you want to go in. And also what I like about this week is that while there is some questions about the direction you're headed in your career, it really is about bringing you into alignment with what is it that you believe that you are and what you identify with and what it is that you want to embody in this life. You're getting that clarity and you're asking yourself what needs to change so that that can be reflected in your work and in your career. This is a time of career hard work on the one hand, but also career changes for some as well, some Aquarians as well. And what I really like about this week for you is that with the conversations, with the interactions, with the questions, you are using them to really understand more clearly who it is that you are and what it is that you're meant to contribute in this lifetime. From there, I'm seeing you really take that information and run with it. In fact, especially once we get you to the middle and later parts of the week, the energy just builds more and more positive for you. I also think that you feel a financial breakthrough coming on, and you're right about that. Things are changing for you. Things are advancing for you in the best possible sense. And you are preparing to take a step in a more stable direction, a step that promises to bring you greater prosperity now and for a long time to come. Hello, fabulous Pisces. Well, it is the sun moving through your sign that reaches out to Saturn. And this does suggest that you understand. It's almost as if, I want to say like the shoe drops, but I would say more accurately, it's almost as if you get what needs to happen if you are actually going to live an ambition, if you are actually going to live something that you currently envision or something that you hope for, something that you're aiming for. It's as if you get what it is that you need to believe about yourself in order to actually manifest something greater and manifest something different. You know, I think about the fact that you've got Neptune and Chiron moving through your sign as part of a long-term sort of, it's going to be there. These placements are there throughout this decade. And so this is energy that's been there and will continue to be there. But ultimately, these energies are about you sort of getting any superfluous things out of the way so that you can live a life of greater connection to source, of greater faith, and a life that feels more ideal and more true to you. And you look at what's taking place this week, and it really is because the sun is getting the stability boost from Saturn that you understand what practically needs to change in order for you to actually live those ideals. You know, it's been said that Saturn really ultimately, like Jupiter, your ancient ruling planet, your modern ruling planet, Neptune, these planets need Saturn in order to actually have any of the inspiration count for anything. Well, this week you're about to really understand that much more deeply, and you're about to understand that really, as much as people say, oh no, Saturn, he's so hard, he's been called the taskmaster, but I think for you, you're really going to welcome this as a gift. You're really going to start to understand that it really is something very special when you can look at your life and see how you have a track record of success and you have already demonstrated great skills from which you can now leap forward and do even greater things in the world. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you everyone of all signs for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy. Thank you for watching. It'll be a great month. Be fabulous and enjoy.